could be the car parking space for his limo. So maybe we're in the best position. This could be it. This could be it. Is this it? Is this him? Gordon! Gordon, Alex Riley from the BBC. These Australian lamb shanks that you said were shit in a bag, they're on sale at Booker. They're on sale at Booker at the moment, and as you're the face of Booker... Can we just clarify one thing? What? First of all, I'm not the face of Booker. OK. So what do you work for them, don't you? You do some promotion for them. No, I don't. Clearly, we're live. I'd really appreciate if you got your facts right.
As we weren't actually live, I might as well let you know when Chef Ramsay's fact-correcting was in fact incorrect.
Let me just explain. Yeah. When I first came across them, they weren't even allowed to go in the refrigeration unit.
Yeah,
the ambient
temperature, yeah, that's right.
And it was lamb that was sourced from New Zealand.
That's Chef Ramsay's first fact-correcting error. I had the box, and it was from Australia, not New Zealand.
My embarrassment was the fact that, how can you call that freshly cooked? OK, that doesn't even sit... Exactly. Can I just finish my sentence, please?
Yeah.
Doesn't even sit in a fridge, 365 days out on the floor, and you're charging £15 for it and calling it local lamb from New Zealand.
I've done the Australia thing, and maybe it's a bit petty to point out that it was being sold for £11, not 15. But I'm sure Gordon wasn't just on about the wording of the menu, but the lamb having enough chemicals to kill off half of Oakhampton.
Let's just get one thing incredibly clear. Yeah. I am not the face of Booker.
Not the face of Booker. We'd better come back to that one.
I don't have a range of food in there.
But you're in their brochure.
You're factually incorrect. I'm not in their brochure, and I'm not representing them.
Yeah, I'd better come back to that one.
But do you, I mean, they are selling it. I just so you know. I mean, you probably weren't aware of that. That's all I'm saying.
I'm totally aware of the fact they are selling it.
Oh, really?
But that's got nothing to do with me whatsoever.
OK, but that's fine. Well, that's good. That's great. Well, just so you know.
Not in the brochure. At least that should be easy to check. I went to find out. The brochure at the time was for spring 2009.
I've just got the Booker catalogue here, and I'm just going to check. Oh, hello. Inside cover. Plain Speaking with Gordon Ramsay. Oh, page 61. Saving money in a tough climate. Gordon Ramsay takes us through some of his top money-saving advice. Well, you know, certainly looks like Gordon Ramsay to me. Catering recipes by Gordon Ramsay. There's one there, smoked salmon and horseradish cream tartlets. Another one here, white onion soup with mature cheddar by Gordon Ramsay. And there's a photograph of Gordon, or somebody who looks very much like Gordon, up there in the top right-hand corner on each of those 9 recipes. If it's not him, then who on earth is it? I mean, what's it going to feel like when he finds out that somebody's been passing themselves off as Gordon Ramsay in the Booker catalogue, and it's not actually Gordon Ramsay? Oh, I'll tell you what, I'll have a look on the website.
The same mysterious Gordon lookalikey seemed to be plastered all over the Booker website, with his name and the name of Booker appearing very close together. But then the summer 2009 brochure came out, and the Gordon lookalikey had vanished, and he was gone from the website. I thought I'd better find out what had been going on.
Basically, I think somebody might be impersonating Gordon.
Sorry, what's he implying?
Well, I'm just saying that he's said to me that he's definitely not in the brochure. I've got the brochure. He's definitely in it.
Not in the current brochure at the moment. He's not in the brochure. The relationship that he had with Booker is at the moment, it's sort of on hold.
But at the time I was speaking to him, he was in the brochure, and I just wondered, you know, if it's not him, is it somebody else?
That'd be ridiculous.
You know, he might get quite angry.
At the time that he spoke to you, what he said was absolutely correct. He wasn't. I mean, there might be...
Well, it was the current brochure, to be honest. I mean,
how long did the brochure run for? I don't know.
Well, spring 2009.
Well, that's, you know, quite a long period of time.
It's just that he seemed like he didn't know anything about his association with Booker. I just thought it was unusual that he didn't know about it.
You know, the point
but it's his face.
Trying to make was trying to sort of, you know, set him up a little bit for being something of a hypocrite. I think that was what, you know, he was responding to that. So I think at the time that he spoke to you, he was aware of the fact that his current relationship with Booker was on hold at that point.
OK, thank you very much for your time.
Right, bye.
Thank you, bye-bye.
So Gordon had put his relationship with Booker into a holding pattern, and for the time being will not be in the brochure. I'm sure that's absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with my discovery of the lamb shank Farrago. I returned to the shops. Thanks to the Food Standards Agency computer, my 10% chicken Kiev had been reclassified as containing 19% chicken. Now I was back on the lookout for a meaty product containing even less meat.
Nice. There's more chicken than pork. in a hot dog. Why is it chicken?
I think that's naughty, and that's naughty. I don't think people expect chicken in a hot dog. But the legislation doesn't say what kind of meat that there has to be. Because it wouldn't, because those words hot dog...
Could mean anything.
Could mean anything.
Gives them carte blanche.
Absolutely.
As well as the cunning use of the word dog to allow the use of any old animal, my hot dogs also contained a magic ingredient that let them contain even less lean meat. It was called MRM, and it stood for mechanically recovered meat.
Look at these ones. You've got to say this is a triumph of food engineering, because it's mainly water, and then in terms of meat content, there's 36% mechanically recovered chicken and 6% pork.
It's legal, but I still think it's deceiving the customer. I don't think people buying something like that would expect to get some kind of processed, reclaimed, you know, minced up chicken.
To reclaim meat, take an animal, cut all the good bits off, place the remainder in a big machine and ram against a mesh, leaving the bones on one side and some meaty slurry on the other. A few years ago, it was decided that this process so drastically altered the cellular structure of the animal that what came out was no longer allowed to be called meat. It had to be called mechanically recovered meat, MRM. That's what Alan, an analyst working to ensure our health and safety in relation to food, told me.
It's the traces of meat that can't be easily butchered off. Plus you've got quite a bit of sinew and gristle and rind and things in there as well, which when it's subjected to the pressure in the machines, it actually flows away as a slurry.
So it's just sort of jelly bits and dangly bits and sort of like pink.
But I see where you're coming from, yes. I honestly believe the public have no idea what goes into a lot of their food, and I think if they knew exactly what MRM was and what sort of product it was going into, I think they would have a little bit of concern there and be much more conscientious about reading labels.
It's like hot dogs here. These hot dogs are mechanically recovered chicken, water, pork fat, pork collagen. Is that ground out of the bones? Pork
no, the collagen is the connective tissue, it's the sinew and the...
Right. So basically that is just MRM with fat.
And some connective tissue, which is the...
tissue. Give it a bit of bite.
A bit of bite, yes. There's no meat in that at all.
There's no meat in this at all. Hot dogs in brine. Totally meat-free. Vegetarians, come on. Meet me halfway.
It was the holy grail. Hot dogs obviously weren't dog, they were chicken. And I had found some that weren't 50%, they weren't 40, they weren't 30, they weren't 20, they weren't 10. They were a meat product with precisely 0% meat. Set off the graphical fireworks. If Mr. Riley was going to enter the world of MRM, I wanted to see it being produced. And let me assure you, I didn't just simply sit down in front of YouTube. I'd got into contact with meat processing people all over Europe.
Miso mechaniczne odżykiwanie.
But no luck. Even the PR man for one of the companies that makes meat recovery machines wasn't keen on me seeing his machine in action.
What is in it for us, so to speak?
It is something that we eat on a regular basis.
Well, OK, maybe if you're eating hot dogs. I can't remember ever eating a hot dog. I wouldn't touch it.
Why wouldn't you have a hot dog? Why wouldn't you have a hot dog?
Because I don't like what goes in there.
Why don't people want us to film it being produced?
I don't know if you've ever been in an abattoir.
No.
It's the most horrible sight you can ever imagine. It's awful.
You know, mechanically recovered meat, I mean, it's not going to be as graphically horrible as an abattoir.
I think it is, effectively. How could it look good to take bones and put it in a press and squeeze the meat off it? It just doesn't look good.
I travelled all the way to Cologne, where the makers of meat machinery were putting on a show. I'd even gone to the trouble of getting some pork bones so they could do me a demo. But they weren't too keen on me getting anywhere near their machines.
Can you just explain how the machines work and that sort of thing?
Can you please shut up the camera?
Why don't you want us to film? What?
No. Are you a customer? You want to buy a machine?
No, but I might want to use one for the purposes of what we're doing. It'd be nice. I've got some meat with me.
Yeah,
that
where?
I would like to in my bag.
Okay, good.
Got some pork.
Yeah, very good.
Pork with bones and stuff in it. They just wanted to know a bit more about the process, how it works, how